You always put in the hours, you never take vacations, you work all day and you work more than most people and put in more hours, but still you feel like you're behind and you're not getting the results you want. And you spend all day in activity, but you're not actually generating the outcomes that you want. And because of it, you feel like you're running behind and everybody else is passing you and running faster and getting more results and winning more than you. Why is this? And I felt the exact same way, and I can tell you there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a little shift in focus and how you approach things and how you prioritize things and some of this understanding and how you interpreted things in order to overcome this and to actually feel like you're running your own race and you're at the right place in the right time. The first point is actually a lack of prioritization. And I've seen this in friends. They spend all day working long hours and they're always busy and they're never taking time off. But at the end of the day, they didn't really got any results and anything to show for, and they didn't produce any kind of outcome. And it's because this false understanding that activity is something you should strive for, which is not. What you want is the result, not to be active all day. This is not what you want. Why would you? And in order to overcome this, it doesn't really matter how many things you do. It only matters what kind of outcome you want, because you always want to achieve a goal. Like, it's pretty simple. You're over here, this is your current situation, okay, and you want to go to your desired situation. So in order to go from your current to your desired situation, it doesn't matter how many hours you work, it doesn't matter how many things you do, how busy you are, how many vacations you take. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying this like you should just sit around and manifest anything. No, you have to work. But the thing is, you have to understand what are the things that will actually get you to where you want to go, and only do these things, because everything else is not going to get you there. For example, if you want to build an Instagram channel, or let's say you want to build an agency, okay? I've did this exact in the past and I know how this works. So in order to do this, you just have to spend 80% of your time on sales or marketing. You just have to wake up, you have to send out your outreaches to new businesses, you have to generate sales calls, and then you have to do these sales calls. That's almost 80% of your day. But what a lot of people do is they spend time watching some courses, they spend time talking to some other guy, maybe some masterminding thing. Maybe they end up joining some communities, maybe they study some other business model, maybe they get into some automation stuff because it might help them later on. Maybe they start learning about some ads and some new cool funnel and stuff like this. And you see all this stuff, it can keep you busy all day. You can do this for 12 hours a day, study some AI stuff. But again, at the end of the day, it doesn't get you to your goal in order to get clients. And if instead you just have sat down and you just send out your 10 proposals or your 10 outreaches, and you set up a new cold mailing campaign, or you made a content post on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, then it might take you 2 hours, but you made more progress than working 12 hours doing some nonsense stuff over here. And this is the thing. And you just gotta sit down and actually understand what are the steps, like 80-20, what are the 20% that will get me 80% of the result, and to just really ruthlessly focus on these things. And in order to understand what these are, it's good to ask a mentor and he can tell you what this is, or to do a course. They will tell you what these things are. Maybe you already know. This is the quickest way usually, or you can also ask AI, it will tell you the same stuff. And then to just focus on these things, and every single day to wake up and just do this. The second thing is a little bit more intangible, because if you work all day and you still feel like you're behind, there's a high chance that you're running a race that's not your own. And this is the biggest thing. Often, how do most people come up with goals? Oftentimes it's they see something online, they get influenced, they get some idea from there, they see someone else do this, and they have this peer pressure and they start setting the same goals. And I think that's kind of the same reason why a lot of people's lives look the same, because everybody is consuming the same influencers, everybody's consuming the same channels, everybody is in their bubble, and they all start to look the same, they set the same goals, and they want the same stuff. And what oftentimes is missing from there is you stepping back and actually asking yourself, is this what I'm trying to achieve actually my goal or not? And oftentimes it's not. And I had the same thing. So I started my agency and I built it up to like 20K per month in cash flow. And that's kind of everything I wanted. That was my main goal at the beginning when I started. I just want to get there. I want to make six figures with it and get really good at copywriting and ads, which I then managed on 7 figures and stuff. And after I achieved my goal, I was kind of done, because then I wanted to travel and I wanted to do other interests and stuff like this, and that was my goal. But since I was in these bubbles and I was in these mentoring programs and I followed like people online, I bought the idea that I need to scale this agency to 50K, to 100K or whatnot, and I just need to do it, and it's my goal and I need to go on this path. And I ended up setting this goal, but more a bit subconsciously, and I started running towards it. But even though I was on this path and I was doing this, I constantly felt like I was behind, because it wasn't something I actually genuinely wanted to do and that was aligned with my values. It was just something I took from others, and it wasn't actually my goal, because I didn't want that. Because it adds so much complexity and stuff like this, which I just did not want. And I didn't want to do it. And the thing is, in order to cope that, you have to understand what your values are, okay? And once you do, and by the way, you do this by looking at the turning points in your life, and you just understand what these are, and then you ask yourself, okay, why did I choose that particular thing in that situation? So for example, I went to the United States when I was 16, and there was a turning point, okay? And I would sit down and I would look at this turning point, because I did it. I didn't speak any English. I was very introverted at the time, and I still did it. And I looked at that turning point, and I just asked myself, why did I make this decision, and what was my emotional motive behind it? And based on this, I found out that I wanted to be different and go my own path, which is one of my values, and then some other ones. And I did this for like 4, 5, 6 turning points in my life, different ones where I moved away, where I broke up with someone, or I left my friends group, or I started a certain thing, like whatever it is. And over time, I saw this pattern that I have like these 3 to 5 values that always show up in these decisions. And now I can take these values and I can start making decisions around them and set goals that actually align with them. Because the thing is, you don't set a goal in order to just achieve something. You do it because you believe that it will make you feel different and it will align with your values. And these values are what give you meaning. And once you sit down, and you have your values dialed in, then what you can do is you have your values over here. Okay, those are your 3 values, let's say. And what you then do is to just ask yourself, okay, what kind of goals can I set in like these areas of life? If you just Google Wheel of Life, you see like all these different areas, and you go through area by area. You just ask yourself, okay, what kind of goal can I set in this area of life that will most likely align and allow me to fulfill these values? And you just brainstorm then and do like a mind map. But all these goals that are now coming up, they're purely yours. They're aligning with your values, they're meaningful to you, and they're uniquely yours. They're not copied from anybody. And especially if you force yourself to write down like 100 different goals in all these areas, the first one are probably going to be things that you copied from somewhere, but the last ones are really the ones that are pure and aligning with your values. And once you have this list, then you actually have goals that are yours, because they're aligned with your values, and no one has the exact same. Or maybe they do, but those are the ones that really align with your specific values. And once you set a goal like this, you're not running against someone else, you're running your own race. And once this happens, you have no reason to compare yourself and to feel behind, because you're on your unique path that no one else has done before in that specific way and with your past and your stories and stuff like this. And that will fix it.